I want to first ask you how, if you've seen your mother lately, how is she doing? Is she okay health-wise? What can you tell us about her situation right now?
Well, it's been 45 days since this crippling curfew was imposed, and she's been in solitary confinement since the 5th. So, I mean, her spirits are high, and she's as fine as anybody would be, somebody who's been placed in solitary confinement. So, I would say she's doing okay, and she's fine health-wise, and mentally, she's a strong person. So, she's doing all right.
You use the word solitary, the phrase solitary confinement twice. We understand from the government and from statements that have been made to the Supreme Court that family members have been allowed to see her. Why do you believe she's being isolated, and what do you mean by solitary confinement?
Solitary confinement obviously means, the whole purpose of keeping her away from family is to weaken her resolve. It's to completely isolate her from the rest of the world because, other Kashmiris have whatever restricted access to the television. I mean, our newspapers anyways are down. The government of India claims that newspapers are still being printed, but it's a bit of a joke because the first page only has Article 370 benefits, ads, and you don't have any proper columns discussing the situation. So she's been isolated so that, they are trying to weaken her spirit, and they're obviously trying to force her in some way to accept whatever has happened, and because of this she's been kept in solitary confinement. Otherwise, I don't understand what the need was. You don't have internet in any household in Kashmir right now. Very few landlines are working. Incoming calls on these landlines mostly are not working. So they've obviously taken her because they want to break her spirit like any other mainstream leader right now who's been kept in solitary confinement.
Well, you've also, and I just want to ask you a couple of things about your case in Supreme Court. While that case was being argued, the Attorney General said that you could have gone to the district magistrate and asked permission to see your mother. You needn't have actually approached the court. Your lawyer argued that you were restricted from leaving your home until the 22nd of August. Could you have gone to the district magistrate and just asked for permission to see your mother?
I could have gone to the district magistrate if I could teleport myself, or if there was a hyperloop or an underground tunnel from Gupkar, where I live, to where the district magistrate stays. I mean, I don't understand why they want to constantly put themselves on the spot and keep, I don't want to embarrass them. Faye, I was placed under detention, and especially after my interviews went out, I was told by SSG at the gate that now you are in the same category, detention category, as your mother. We cannot allow you to receive visitors. You are not allowed to meet anybody, and we'll not allow you to leave to the house. And I must add here that it was only after my very public open letter to the Home Minister, Shri Amit Shah, once that went public, I think these people felt a little embarrassed, and that's when I was allowed to leave the city. But how did they expect me to have any kind of communication with the district magistrate when we were confined? My house was turned into a jail. I've shared pictures with news channels of how padlocks were put on the inner gates of my house, and we weren't even allowed to step out of the gate. So I could have only contacted the district magistrate if I had a hyperloop, or if I could teleport myself, or if we had some sort of mental telepathy. Otherwise, there was no way to communicate him. I don't know why they feel the need to lie so much.
You've also spoken up in the past about the fact that you were threatened with arrest yourself. Is that something you still fear?
I mean, my mother is the person I love the most in the world, and she's been taken from me, so I have nothing to lose. I mean, what they can do now is what they're doing to everybody in Kashmir. Every Kashmiri right now is being intimidated. He's being harassed, whether it's a lawyer, whether it's a member of the civil society, whether it's the journalists, local Kashmiri journalists themselves. And obviously, even I have received indirect threats that if I speak up now, especially, it's a move. If I choose to speak to the press also, that move will be fraught with consequences. And you know how Farooq Saab, who's so old and he's not been keeping well, how he was slapped with PSA, and how it's been done in such an arbitrary manner without any sort of rhyme or reason. So I've also indirectly received threats that if I do something, if I choose to speak to the media, then you know, something similar could be done to my mother. That's being used as, I would say, as a they're trying to blackmail me because my mother is in their custody. And I also want to add that I've indirectly been told that if I access any of her social media accounts, my mother has a Facebook page and she also has a Twitter page, which Twitter account which she used to be very active on. I've been told that if I use any of these handles on her behalf, I'll be booked on charges of impersonation, which, if you ask me, is ridiculous, because if my mother authorizes me to use her Twitter account, I don't see what the problem should be. The fact of the matter is that they don't want any voice from Kashmir to be heard, whether it's Mehbooba Mufti's daughter, whether it's a local journalist. They want to muzzle all voices and make sure that it's only their narrative and their propaganda that plays out nationally and internationally both.
So, if I heard you correctly, you're telling me that you're speaking to us tonight at some personal risk. Is that correct?
Of course I am. Of course I am, Faye. I mean, speak to any Kashmiri right now. How many Kashmiri voices have you heard? Someone like Shaila speaks, and look at the kind of abuses, the barrage of abuses that poor girl gets. For what? I mean, we're speaking up for Kashmiris. Is that a crime? And yes, obviously, I'm doing this at a personal risk, because it's not just about me, it's about my mother as well. My mother is in their custody. But, you know, someone has to stand up, someone has to speak up. I cannot let them bully and intimidate or harass me, and I am not going to tolerate it, and I am going to keep speaking up as a responsible citizen. I am going to let everybody know how Kashmiris are being subjugated and humiliated and oppressed.
Well, you did say, of course, that you believe that if your mother gives you permission to put out a message on her behalf on her social media handles, that would be your right to do so. Is there a message that your mother wants to put out on social media, or has she asked you to put out or convey a message on her behalf?
Well, first of all, my mother has authorized me to use her Twitter account, and that's not even a crime. Like Chidambaram Saab, he's been in jail, I think, for what, the past 10 days, and he's told his family to tweet on his behalf. It's another matter that I haven't started as of now. My mother was very distressed to know about these children being taken away from their mothers, and I have today I wrote an email which was addressed to the Home Secretary and also the Chief Secretary of Jammu and Kashmir, and I've told them that I'm writing on behalf of my mother, who's a former Chief Minister, and she's the president of a regional party in Jammu and Kashmir, and she would like information on, she would like them to throw information on certain points, like how many people have been detained and how many of these are minors, how many of them have been shifted to Agra or any state outside Kashmir, how many people have been slapped with PSA. So this is information that we all deserve to know, right? Like, these can't just be rumors, Faye. I mean, just the fact that the government is not coming out clean raises sort of like suspicions and so many red flags. I mean, we deserve answers. It's been 45 days since this inhuman curfew has been imposed, and even today we have no clarity on these detentions that are being carried out.
So, if I understand correctly, your mother has authorized you to file what is effectively an RTI application on her behalf to find out how many people are being detained in the valley at this point, how many of them are minors, and where they're being held. Is that correct?
Well, it's not an RTI, but I have sent an email to the Home Secretary and the J&K Chief Secretary. And I just sent it today sometime in the afternoon, and it basically asks questions like how many people have been detained, how many of them are minors, why are people being slapped with PSA. You know, the entire media knows how Farooq Saab was slapped with PSA. I mean, that's ridiculous. A former BJP MP, Swami Chinmayanand, has been accused of rape, and he's out and about, and the girl today even issued statements saying that what are the authorities waiting for? Are they waiting for me to commit suicide? You don't want to deal with that. That man is out because he's from BJP. You don't see that he could possibly be a rapist, but you've slapped PSA on a former chief minister, on an active member of parliament who happens to be really old, and he's not exactly in the, you know, best of health. So why these double standards? Why are you oppressing Kashmiris in this manner? I don't understand.
But tell me something. You said yourself in our conversation a little while ago that you believe that when the comms clampdown is lifted, uh, that there will be protest, there will be a display of emotion. Isn't this a way of making sure people don't get hurt or there isn't violence in the state?
Say, I said that people are upset, and what's happening is that right now you're not giving them an outlet to even protest peacefully. The longer you delay this for, the more angry they're gonna get. If I lock you up in a room right now और मैं आपको वहाँ 1-1.5 महीने के लिए रखती हूँ, पहले तो आपका गुस्सा कम होगा ना, then it'll keep increasing. You'll think, what is going on? मतलब they've been caged like animals, they have no voice. And let me tell you, people of Kashmir have exercised a lot of restraint, Faye. I mean, even to this day, there is a civil curfew. Journalists, embedded journalists can deny it as much as they want. They can go in their fancy helicopters that are being given by the government of India, but you cannot deny facts. People have called for a civil curfew. They want to protest against this move, and you cannot blame, you cannot take them of even that right to articulate how they feel, Faye.